Welcome to the Nungarin Heritage Machinery and Army Museum. After the Second World War started, the Defence Department believed that they needed a supply depot somewhere inland if we were ever attacked from Carnarvon around to about Esperance, that they could resupply the troops with. This supply depot had to meet a couple of vital criteria. It had to be able to be far enough inland so carrier-based aircraft couldn't get in here and back again. Also, it had to be able to be supplied by rail and road from all the ports in Western Australia, plus from over east. Nungarin was chosen to be the site of the supply depot. They started building the camp here early in 1942. It took them 18 months to build at the cost of a bit over £10 million. The camp itself went over 620 odd acres. On the plan here, the blue dot is the shed that we are situated in. There was another identical shed about 100 metres to the west, which was for instruments and carpentry. There was another two sheds that were for artillery. There was another shed which was called the Tank Hull Workshop, which was the only all-steel building in the camp, and it was all steel because it had a 30-tonne gantry crane in it to be able to pick a General Grant tank up off a railway wagon and take it inside. And the rest of the sheds on the plan were mainly stores depot, which were all hooked to the railway line. At the completion of building the camp, there was between 1,200 and 1,600 personnel stationed here, of which 400 roughly of those were women, who were mainly drivers, because there was half a dozen trucks or cars going to Perth or Northam each day, shifting personnel around and bringing and taking supplies. The paddock to the west of the back road was resumed from the Herbert family when they built the camp. That's where the majority of the stores depot were. The only thing out there now is just some big brick walls in the middle of the paddock. They were the firewalls in the middle of the supply depots. Across the road behind the wheat bin was called Vehicle Park, and the southern bit of that is all cleared land now, which there's a roaded catchment that supplies water to the town dam. From about 1944, they thought that the Japanese were going to invade, so there was a bit over 100 tanks stationed here with another roughly 2,000 personnel. And they were all kept over in that section called Vehicle Park. Under camouflage, you can still make out in the bush the gravel roads, and the little squares that are on the map are where they had tanks or armoured cars or artillery under camouflage. You will see the men's barracks are the small ones down this end, and the women were down the southwest corner of the army camp. Of course, we were never invaded or anything like that, so after the Second World War finished, they had their first sale in Nungarin in 1947, and they sold off all of the tanks and armoured cars and a lot of trucks. The tanks and Bren gun carriers and so forth were mainly bought by local farmers to use for tractors, because everyone was geared up for the war effort and no one was making tractors at the time. It was a working army camp up till 1960, and then from 60 to about February in 1962, there was just a skeleton crew left here to get everything organised for the last sale. At the last sale, they sold everything in the camp, the buildings, etc. And the only reason the shed that we're in at the moment, which was the vehicle workshop, survived is because the Shire bought it for their works depot. The museum opened in 1994. The Shire gave us 1/3 of the building roughly at the time. Over the last 20 odd years, we have collected a lot more equipment and artefacts, and with the help of Royalties for Regions money about 5 years ago, the Shire built a new depot right in the corner of the old Army precinct along Danberrin Road and gave us the use of the rest of the building. I would like to thank you very much for coming to our museum. I hope that you have enjoyed the experience. We are always on the lookout for volunteers, so if you have any spare time at all from a couple of days to a couple of weeks, please come and have a chat to someone, and I'm sure we can fit you in and find a job that meets your skill level. Thank you very much.